Thank you for the opportunity to make this presentation today on such a pressing matter for workers in Canada. The Canadian Union of Public Employees is Canada's largest union with 740,000 members, including workers at publicly owned housing corporations, homeless shelters, long-term care homes, and other social and healthcare services at the front line of the housing affordability crisis. Many CUPE members are also suffering under the same crisis as wages fail to keep up with rising costs. One of the reasons the cost of buying or renting a home in Canada has increased so dramatically is because people and institutional investors have been treating housing like an investment, specifically as a means to fund retirement. Our research has found that Canada's inadequate public pension system has been a factor behind the current housing affordability crisis. To put it simply, too many people must rely on the value of their home going up, worsening affordability for future generations in order to have a dignified retirement. Retirement security in Canada was supposed to be a three-legged stool: the Canada Pension Plan, Old Age Security, and a workplace pension plan. But more than 60% of Canadians don't have a workplace pension plan, leaving the majority of workers with a very wobbly stool. One way people have been making up for this gap is by treating housing like an investment rather than a basic right. Recent surveys indicate that around 40% of Canadian homeowners are relying on the appreciation of their home to fund their retirement. And the federal government has actually promoted this view of housing. Up until a few weeks ago, the Government of Canada website dedicated to retirement planning proposed selling your current home and buying a less expensive home or getting a reverse mortgage as retirement income options. Federal tax policy has also fed into this phenomenon because equity gains in primary residences are not considered taxable income. And there's also the Home Buyers Plan program, which allows people to withdraw from their RSPs to build or buy a home. Encouraging Canadians to count on their home as an investment vehicle for retirement income is very risky. It leaves people at the mercy of the boom and bust cycle of the housing market. But it also means that homeowners can see efforts to bring down house prices as a direct threat to their retirement. This misplaced fear of falling house prices can lead homeowners to fight against more affordable housing in their neighborhoods. There's a second piece to this, and that's how workplace pension plans have fed into the financialization of rental housing as they search for the high returns for their members. More and more pension funds are investing in purpose-built rental housing in Canada, and unfortunately, the way these pension funds view housing is no different than REITs or other asset managers that seek to maximize profit. Investors profit both from value appreciation and a stable form of income in the form of tenants' rent. Investors often reposition their real estate holdings to make even more money, buying existing affordable housing, evicting tenants, and replacing with more expensive units. Our union wants our members' pension funds to achieve decent investment returns, but not at the expense of workers and the Canadian public. We implore this committee to focus on the more than 1.4 million people in core housing need, nearly 1 million of whom cannot afford monthly housing costs of more than $1,050 a month. It is these people for whom consequences of inaction is the most dire. This committee heard it from a representative from Skyline earlier in the study. The private market, by definition, will not deliver below-market affordable housing. It's against their interest to do so. So the current path is not working. Government should stop using public subsidies, financing, and foregone revenue to support for-profit investors as they build unaffordable housing. Instead, for those who are in the most need, we need direct public investment in affordable housing, which Governor Macklem has confirmed would not be inflationary spending. The committee can use today's study to refocus the national housing strategy towards social, nonprofit, and cooperative housing, investments that would actually advance the right to housing. The federal government can also use its spending power to require greater protections for tenants from the profit-seeking imperative of their financialized landlords. And for all Canadians, government should guarantee a good pension for all through Old Age Security and Canada Pension Plan, and stop encouraging Canadians to count on their home sale to pay for retirement. My colleague Adi will now add some brief additional remarks.
Merci pour faire suite au point soulevé.
Thank you for following up on what Emily has said. Our union represents international students and migrants across Canada. We are profoundly concerned by the fact that all too many people are building cause and effect links on upward pressure in homes, and temporary foreign workers and students are seen to some extent as the cause of that. That is a wrong argument that can destabilize our national consensus on immigration. Communities that are already at risk of being marginalized and are victims of the housing crisis are being told they are the cause of it.
Landlords are choosing to increase rents. government is allowing investors to gamble with housing and push prices up. There is no peer-reviewed evidence showing a causal link between immigration and the housing crisis, but there is evidence that shows that predatory, deep-pocketed investors are relying on weak tenant protections and a virtually unregulated real estate market to inflate prices and profit from them. Merci beaucoup.